Good evening. In the news tonight, Governor Daniels signs a bill to help families of Indiana soldiers who have been called to active duty. And no resistance or casualties reported as U.S. and Iraqi troops continue their sweep through central Iraq.
In sports, a pair of lower seeds pulled off upsets at the NCAA tournament this afternoon, and former Pacer Ron Artest returns to Indianapolis tonight for the first time since he's been traded.
Newscenter 22 is next. Governor Daniels has signed legislation that will establish a military relief fund to provide grants to the families of Indiana soldiers who have been called to active duty since 9/11. He also created a program designed to help returning veterans find out about benefits they are entitled to and assist them in applying for them. The governor says it's a way to say thank you to the bravest of the brave. A new veteran's license plate will provide a portion of the money for the relief fund. Other money will come from future allocations from the General Assembly and through donations. The chairman of the Indiana House Ways and Means Committee calls Governor Mitch Daniels' Major Moves initiative one of the most significant pieces of legislation passed by the General Assembly. During a visit to Vincennes Thursday, Republican State Representative Jeff Espick of Uniondale said revenue from the leasing of the Indiana Toll Road will not only finance construction of Interstate 69, but provide millions of dollars for local road and street projects as well.
There are 200 other local road projects in small towns and counties and cities throughout Indiana that there wasn't the money to build either. It might be a little lane addition here or an improvement on an intersection there, but hundreds of millions of dollars worth of local projects, plus we're actually sending a share of that back to local units of government just to spend as they see fit.
Espick says he thinks there's some sour grapes among Democrats who have criticized leasing the toll road to foreign investors. He says the state has actually been losing money on the toll road in the 5 of the past 7 years. One of the Democrats who isn't too thrilled about the governor's Major Moves plan is State Representative Dave Crooks of Washington. Crooks says that under the plan, construction of the I-69 extension project could be delayed thanks to some last-minute changes in the plan by the legislature. Crooks says the plan allows the northern end of the route to be changed. If it is, Crooks says the environmental impact statement would have to be updated, and that could take anywhere from 2 to 6 years. Crooks says he believes making part of the I-69 extension a toll road will limit economic development opportunities. He says industries would rather locate along a freeway than a toll road. Representative Crooks says that thanks to Marion County lawmakers, language was also included in the Major Moves bill that would make the section of I-69 between Martinsville and Indianapolis toll-free. He says everyone south of that would have to pay a toll. Governor Daniels says he'll push state transportation officials to move quickly on road construction projects now that the legislature has passed his Major Moves highway plan. Private foreign investors will give the state an upfront payment of nearly $4 billion when the contract is signed by June 30th. In exchange, they'll run the Indiana Toll Road for the next 75 years. The Transportation Department's 10-year plan includes extending Interstate 69 from Indianapolis to Evansville, upgrading US 31 between Indianapolis and South Bend, extending the Hoosier Heartland Highway from Logansport to Lafayette, building 2 new bridges over the Ohio River, and making US 24 4 lanes from Fort Wayne to the Ohio line. State Representative Troy Woodruff says the state has been able to cut an $800 million budget deficit in half thanks to some belt tightening on the part of state government. The Vincennes Republican says by limiting state spending the past 2 years, the legislature is able to repay money it owes schools and local governments.
So what we've done is $156 million we've used to pay back our schools, K through 12, to help catch them back up. What we've also done is for our universities, we've kicked in about $40 million. So for Vincennes University, that'll mean about $1.2 million in dollars they'll get that has been promised to them over the years that wasn't delivered.
Woodruff says the General Assembly also approved one-time tax credits for about 1.5 million owner-occupied homes. The credits would mean average homeowners will pay about 4 to 5% less in property taxes this year than they would have. The legislature also agreed to increase the maximum homestead exemption from $35,000 to $45,000. That change will impact 2006 taxes due in 2007. State House leaders will push for more local government taxing options next year after similar efforts failed to clear the General Assembly this short session. Many lawmakers say property taxes are no longer a sound measure of wealth or people's ability to pay. Some people might pay more in taxes overall through alternatives such as income or sales taxes, but many regard those as more equitable ways to raise money because they are based on income or consumption of goods. A property tax bill that did pass the General Assembly includes a provision that caps tax bills at 2% of a home's value beginning with taxes payable in 2008. The cap also means local governments will receive less money, giving lawmakers one more reason to consider giving local governments taxing alternatives next session. 8th District U.S. Representative John Hostetter will hold a town hall meeting in Knox County later this month. The meeting will be held Monday, March 27th from 7 until 8 p.m. at the Vincennes City Hall. Hostetter will update the public on what's going on in Washington. Members of his staff will also be available to help anyone in need of assistance or information from the federal government. Indiana State Police arrested 5 people last night after being tipped off about a meth lab in Martin County. State Police and Jasper Police launched an investigation after getting information regarding illegal drug activity at a home on Old School Road in Lagoti. Police searched the residence shortly before midnight and found an active meth lab and over 3 grams of meth in the garage. 2 brothers live in the house. 24-year-old Michael and 39-year-old Jesse Kane are charged with manufacturing and possession of methamphetamine. 3 others, Amber Hackney and Thomas Bervers of Shoals and Michael Sickman of Washington, are charged with conspiracy to manufacture meth. 2 area highways closed due to flooding are expected to reopen to traffic by the end of today. The Indiana Department of Transportation says State Road 58 in Knox and Davies counties should reopen between State Road 67 and State Road 57 in Elnora. Also, State Road 157 in Greene County is expected to reopen between State Road 54 and US 231 in Worthington. Portions of at least 4 other highways remain closed due to flooding. Still to come on Newscenter 22, an update on Operation Swarmer in Iraq, and President Bush spent part of St. Patrick's Day learning about the stalled peace process in Northern Ireland. Stay with us.
Tuesday on Frontline. They are schizophrenic.
Tried to kill myself about 17 times.
Paranoid.
This is a plot by the government.
And psychotic.
Thorazine me out, leave me for lost.
But they are not in mental hospitals. They are in prison.
The attitude has been lock people away, then they're no longer a problem.
Have America's prisons become the new asylums? Watch Frontline, Tuesday at 9, only on PBS.
The Pentagon's #2 man in Baghdad says he does not think civil war will erupt in Iraq, even though it may be closer than at any time since 2003. Lieutenant General Peter Corelli also says the U.S. is preparing Iraqi forces to control 3/4 of their country by this summer. The U.S. military command in Baghdad says it's planning more and more to inhabit Iraqi rebels and uncover arms caches. The commander says resistance is very, very light. Brianna Keeler has the details.
U.S. and Iraqi soldiers are intensely searching the countryside north of Baghdad and say they have detained more than 30 people and found more than a half-dozen weapons caches.
Demonstrate our commitment and ability to bring forces to bear in tracking down and capturing or killing insurgents.
The White House touts Operation Swarmer as a show of Iraqi military capability. Thursday night, President Bush reiterated that's the key to bringing U.S. troops home.
As Iraqis stand up, we will stand down, and the troop levels in Iraq will not be decided by artificial timetables set in Washington, D.C., but by our commanders on the ground.
The U.S. says Iraqi forces account for more than half the 900 troops involved in the operation, but the military assets and helicopters involved are overwhelmingly American. Operation Swarmer launched near Samara, the flashpoint for sectarian violence that began last month when insurgents destroyed the city's Al-Askariya Mosque, a sacred Shiite shrine. In Baghdad, tensions between Shiites and Sunnis have escalated into execution-style retaliatory killings that have claimed the lives of at least 160 people since Sunday. Days before the 3-year anniversary of the invasion of Iraq, many look back at lessons learned.
There's been some significant progress. It has not been without cost, but in my view, the cost is well worth it.
The head of U.S. Central Command, General John Abizaid, said a new unified Iraqi government is the only solution to Iraq's problems. The new Iraqi parliament convened yesterday for the first time, beginning a 60-day countdown to appoint the country's top leaders. In Washington, I'm Brianna Keeler.
There is new evidence that Americans are growing more anxious about Iraq and the president's decision to go to war. Bill Schneider has been studying poll numbers released Thursday.
Since the war in Iraq began in March of 2003, there's been significant erosion of public support. Then, just after the major fighting ended in April, 73% of Americans believed the situation in Iraq was worth going to war over. Now, there are growing doubts about the cause. Only 37% believe it was worth going to war in Iraq. Then, Americans were confident of victory.
My answer is bring them on. We got the force necessary to deal with the security situation.
In March 2003, 69% of Americans were certain the U.S. would win in Iraq. Now, President Bush urges Americans to stay the course.
Our goal in Iraq is victory.
But the public feels growing doubts about the course. Only 22% believe the U.S. is certain to win. Another 32% say it's likely but not certain. Then, just after the war started, just over half of Americans believed Saddam Hussein was personally involved in the 9/11 attacks. Now, only 39% believe Saddam Hussein was involved in 9/11. That belief is powerfully related to education. The better educated you are, the less likely you are to believe it. Last year, Iraqis voted in 3 elections.
In great numbers and under great risk, Iraqis have shown their commitment to democracy.
Now, there's growing concern about sectarian violence. Americans are pessimistic. Only 40% believe Iraq will be able to establish a stable government. 55% expect to see Iraq dissolve into chaos and civil war, a demoralizing prospect for Americans, especially those who don't want anything to do with another country's sectarian religious conflicts. Bill Schneider, CNN, Washington.
It appears Iran's offer to the U.S. for talks about stabilizing Iraq is bearing fruit. U.S. Ambassador Zalmay Khalilzad says discussions about when to meet are underway, and he suggests Baghdad as a meeting place. Ireland's leader says he's determined to see the U.S. brokered Good Friday peace accord for the Northern Ireland implemented this year. Prime Minister Bertie Ahern spoke as he paid his annual St. Patrick's Day visit to the White House and gave President Bush a traditional bowl of shamrocks. The 1998 agreement seeks to end decades of Protestant-Catholic strife in Northern Ireland and establish a government under which the two communities share power.
We want to see the Good Friday Agreement implemented and its full potential realised. We will not be deterred from this challenge, and when we look back on such a dark past, we are all the more determined to deliver on the promise and hope of that indispensable agreement. The path to a permanent peace has not been easy, but I believe that step by step we are steadily building that peace and setting Northern Ireland on course for the future.
Joining Ahern and Bush at the White House were leaders of the main Protestant and Catholic parties. They include Jerry Adams, leader of the Sinn Féin, the IRA's political arm. Ahern noted that since last year's ceremony, the IRA formally declared an end to its armed struggle. The federal judge in Zachary Moussaoui's death penalty trial has decided to let the government offer new substitute aviation security witnesses. The decision partially reverses Leona Brinkema's decision Tuesday to bar all aviation security testimony after a government lawyer coached witnesses. Prosecutors had argued the limit would gut their case against the Al-Qaeda conspirator. The coffin of former Serbian leader Slobodan Milosevic was put on view in Belgrade today. Hundreds of loyalists, mainly elderly, lined up to pay their respects. A private burial is scheduled in the grounds of his provincial home this weekend. The ex-Serbian president suffered a fatal heart attack in his cell last weekend while on trial for genocide and war crimes. Meanwhile, the United Nations War Crimes Tribunal in the Netherlands says Milosevic wasn't poisoned. It announced today that an autopsy and tests of his blood found no evidence of poison or medicines in concentrations that could have killed him. President Bush signed an act Thursday to stop the counterfeiting of manufactured goods. The legislation is designed to help protect the rights of American consumers, workers, and entrepreneurs. It will strengthen U.S. laws and penalties against counterfeit labels and packaging. A big headache Thursday for commuters in Arizona. Motorists on a local highway were stranded yesterday morning when a tractor trailer overturned, spilling 20 tons of cooking oil. It happened near Tucson on Interstate 10. Cars and trucks were eventually rerouted. A sea of green along the streets of Savannah, Georgia. People yesterday started setting up folding chairs and tents for a choice view of what claims the honor of being the country's second biggest St. Pat's parade, right behind New York's. These folks were feeling the luck of the Irish at a St. Patty's Day contest in Utah. They jumped into a pool of green jello and bobbed for limes that had numbers printed on them. The winner apparently won concert tickets to see Faith Hill and Tim McGraw. Though I guess when you're immersed in green jello, everyone's a winner. Still to come on News Center 22, Amy Reef has the weekend forecast.
Into WVUT this Friday night. Watch Washington Weekend Review at 8, now at 8:30, and Scientific American Frontiers at 9. Tavis Smiley follows at 9:30. At 10, Monty Python's Personal Best offers Terry Gilliam's favorite animated skits, included Killer Cars, Royal Navy, Houses Too Dangerous in Which to Live, also The Foot That Squishes Objects, and Brooms That Sweep People Off Cliffs. Friday night on WVUT.
Well, Amy, will we have good weather to celebrate St. Patty's Day, or will some green stuff show up on the map?
Well, we can continue to celebrate St. Patty's Day with some fair conditions, but some rain is in the forecast. Good evening, everyone. As we take a look outside at the tower cam, we currently have mostly cloudy skies and 48 degrees. Wind direction is out of the north-northwest at 12 miles per hour. Humidity is at 52%, and the barometric pressure is at 30.33 and falling. Taking a look at some area temperatures, Sullivan, Indiana, partly cloudy skies, 50 degrees. Petersburg, also partly cloudy skies at 50 degrees. Linton, partly cloudy skies, 50 degrees. And Robinson, Illinois, partly cloudy skies, 49 degrees. As we bring in the national temperature map, you can see that we have cooler temperatures for the northern part of the United States. Buffalo currently 29 degrees. In the Midwest, where they experience excessive amounts of snowfall over the evening, they're also experiencing some cooler temperatures. We have Green Bay at 34 degrees. In the South, they're also following suit with the cooler temperatures. We currently have Dallas at 62 degrees. And out on the West Coast, they're experiencing some wet weather, which is also bringing them some cooler temperature, as Medford is at 41 degrees. Taking a look at our surface map, the northeastern region of the United States is going to remain mostly fair and going to have nice conditions for the weekend, but they're going to hold on to those cooler temperatures. In the Midwest, the system that was responsible for all the snowfall last night has since pushed its way to the east, but not without a fight, leaving some areas around Minneapolis with as much as 8.6 inches of snow. Not good for the road conditions. Down south feels like spring. Quite a coincidence, since the official start of spring is on Monday, but for now we can see some rain showers pushing through Texas that will be generating some wind, rain, and possibly even hail. Out west, you can see this area of low pressure continuing to push its way into the states, generating some snow for the north and some rain for the south. Taking a look at your forecast. Tonight, mostly clear with a low of 27 degrees. Tomorrow, mostly sunny, high of 46. Tomorrow night, partly cloudy with a low of 27. Now for your extended forecast. Sunday, partly cloudy, high of 46, low of 32. Monday, rain with a high of 41, a low of 27. And Tuesday, going to have some snow with a high of 38 and a low of 25. Kurt, that's a look at your weather.
Thanks, Amy. Still to come on Newscenter 22, Kristen Miller will have highlights from first-round action of the NCAA tournament.
City Limits celebrates 30 years with alternative rockers Modest Mouse. And a farewell performance from Guided by Voices.
Hoosiers survive and advance. Good evening, everyone. For TV 22 Sports, I'm Kristen Miller. Mike Davis will coach another game for Indiana as the Hoosiers beat San Diego State 87-83 in a first-round Oakland Regional game of the NCAA tournament. Davis has announced he's stepping down after this season. The Aztecs outplayed the 6-seeded Hoosiers for over 39 minutes, but Robert Vaden hit a clinching three-pointer with 3.3 seconds left. Vaden, Marco Killingsworth, and Earl Calloway each scored 18 points for Indiana, which advances to play Gonzaga in Saturday's second-round game. Jamar Smith had 20 points, including 6 three-pointers to lead Illinois over Air Force 78-69 in a first-round Washington Regional game of the NCAA tournament. Brian Randall added 15 points for the Illinois, which was playing in its first NCAA tournament game since losing to North Carolina in last year's championship. The Falcons played tough into the second half and pulled to within 6 with 16-18 left. But Smith hit a three-pointer and converted a three-point play, and the Illini never looked back. We've got some first-round results from this afternoon's games. The big surprise so far was turned in by Northwestern State. The 14th seed in the Atlanta Regional upset third-seeded Iowa 64-63. Jermaine Wallace's fadeaway three-point heave with a split-second. Indiana School trailed by 17 points with 8.5 minutes remaining before staging a furious rally to beat the Big Ten tournament champions. Elsewhere, 9th-seeded Bucknell topped 8th-seeded Arkansas 59-55 in the Oakland Regional. 8th-seeded Arizona handled number 9 seed Wisconsin 94-75, and 2nd seed Ohio State topped a stubborn Davidson team 70-62 in the Minneapolis Regional. Ron Lewis came off the bench to score 16 of his 19 points in the second half for the Buckeyes. Butler plays at Florida State tonight in the NIT. The winner of tonight's game will play South Carolina on Tuesday. Also in the NIT, Notre Dame plays Michigan on Monday. Notre Dame's women play Boston College Sunday in the WNIT. For the first time since he was traded to Sacramento, Ron Artest is returning to Indianapolis. The Pacers play the Kings tonight at Conseco Fieldhouse. Pacers coach Rick Carlisle says he's looking forward to seeing Artest, but not in an opponent's uniform. Most of Artest's former teammates were stung by his demand to leave Indiana after his 73-game suspension from the brawl in Detroit. Jermaine O'Neal's recovery appears ahead of schedule, but there's no immediate timetable for his return to the Pacers. O'Neal tore his left groin during a game at Cleveland on January 24th. He began full workouts this week. The United States has been knocked out of the World Baseball Classic, losing to Mexico 2-1. Roger Clemens took the loss in what may have been the final appearance of his outstanding career. Oliver Perez and 7 relievers combined on a 3-hitter, and Tampa Bay Devil Rays outfielder Jorge Cantu knocked in both runs. The American loss sends Japan into the semifinal round to face South Korea. Cuba will face the Dominican Republic in Saturday's other semifinal in San Diego. Commissioner Bud Selig is proceeding cautiously before deciding whether baseball should launch an investigation into allegations that Barry Bost used performance-enhancing drugs for at least 5 seasons. Selig dismisses a report in the New York Daily News which cites an unidentified baseball official that the commissioner has already decided to investigate Bonds. Chicago Cubs pitcher Mark Pryor has a strained right shoulder and could miss the start of the season. Despite that piece of news, the Cubs are happy. They expected worse news about their ace. Lakeland jumped on Vincennes University starter Ryan Anderson for 4 runs in the first inning and scored in each inning but one en route to a 15-5 win over the Trailblazers on Thursday. VU got a home run in the 4th from Andy Wall. The 2-run shot was his first of the season. The Trailblazers host Danville next Tuesday at 1 p.m. Dean Wilson and Bart Bryant share the lead after the opening round of the Bay Hill Invitational. They toured the course at 6 under par 66, 1 shot in front of Ben Curtis, Ernie Els, Chad Campbell, Lucas Glover, and Jason Gore. Tiger Woods is back on tour following a week off and carded a 2 under 70. He won the Arnold Palmer hosted event 4 straight times from 2000 through 2003 and is coming off a victory 2 weeks ago at Doral. Ari Song at 8 under leads Maria Yort and Sarah Lee by 1 shot after the first round of the LPGA Safeway International. 2-time defending champ and Akina Sorenstam opened with a 3 under 69 and is tied for 28th. They'll set the field for Sunday afternoon's Nextel Cup race tonight at the Atlantic Motor Speedway. Ryan Newman has claimed the pole in each of the last 6 races there. That's 1 shy of Buddy Baker's record for most at the track. Carl Edwards is the defending race champion. And Kurt, that's a look at sports.
Thanks, Kristen. Still to come on Newscenter 22, Anna Hoven checks out what's new at the movies this weekend.
Coming up this week on 22 Magazine, Maggie Cornian, theater manager for Vincennes University's new Red Skelton Performing Arts Center, will be here to talk about the latest major addition to the VU campus. And Elizabeth Ellis will be here to talk about Southern Indiana Home Ownership Incorporated and efforts to help low to moderate income families find homes. That's the next time on 22 Magazine, Saturday night at 7:30 on WVUT.
In theaters this weekend, a comedic twist on love starring Amanda Bynes tells the topsy-turvy story of college life. And Someone Has a Vendetta. V for Vendetta settles the score. Here's Anna Hoven with Now Showing.
What does your heart tell you? Huh? I mean, which one would you rather see naked?
It's hard enough being the new guy on campus.
You want me to turn you into your brother?
But try being replaced by your twin sister. A twisted triangle between siblings. A boy who's really a girl who falls for a boy?
Okay.
This gender maze proves to be the inspiration behind She's the Man, rated PG-13.
I wish I wasn't afraid all the time.
And this woman has a score to settle with the world. Natalie Portman playing Evie proves she's not backing down.
The time has come for you to live without fear.
I'm ready.
After being recruited by a terrorist fighter, she becomes an unsuspecting vigilante for herself and her society. In a futuristic Britain, she fights to restore freedom. Get out of her way. She's on a vendetta. V for Vendetta is rated R. For Now Showing, I'm Anna Hoven.
And that's all for now. Join us again next week. For Amy Reef and Kristen Miller, I'm Kurt Maddox. Good night.
This is WVUT Vincennes, a service of Vincennes University Broadcast.